Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the all-new 2020 Toyota Highlander in the XLE trim package. So, as always, we're going to do a quick walk around on the Highlander, then we're going to take it out to see how it drives. A huge shout out and thank you to Brent Brown Toyota for providing us with the Highlander. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood here we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6. It goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 20 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 295 horsepower and then 263 foot-pounds of torque. Now let's go over things on the front end of the Highlander. This one's finished in Blizzard Pearl, and I really like the new front end aesthetics. It kind of reminds me of the new RAV4s, but the XLE actually gets LED lights here. That also doubles as a sensor for like the cruise control, for example. Fog lights are down below, but yeah, this kind of just looks like a RAV4, but then just a little bit bigger on the front end. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 35mm tires on 18-inch rims in the front, also in the back, but I really like the design on the rims themselves. They got those cool little gray inserts. Definitely creates some nice contrast on it, and then you can see we've got like a little mud flap in the back there, and then also in the very far rear. Now here is just kind of like a side look at the new Highlander. Here is the key fob for the Highlander. So you've got a couple functions. You got your unlock, your lock, and then the trunk release, and then we'll see if it has remote start. So you just got to hold down the lock function here. Oh, looks like it does. There you go. You can see the 3.5 liter V6 come to life. Relatively quiet, and then we can just press that again to shut it off. Now we're gonna do the trunk release now, so we will just hold that little button right there and it'll open up the rear hatch. And now this one has the third row in the back. Got a bunch of rubber floor mats here. This is the nice part about the Highlander compared to like the RAV4 is you do get the third row. Now there's this little latch here that you just kind of do that to throw the seat forward, and then I like the fact that they do the rubber floor mats all the way up in the back of the seat, so then if you put stuff back here, because I imagine a lot of people will have to utilize that from time to time just because this area is a little bit smaller, but yeah, you won't get the back of the seat dirty, which is nice. And then when you do want to pull the seat back, obviously you just gotta pull the little strap right there, and then when you are done with the rear, there's a button up here as well as on the key fob, obviously just to lower down that rear hatch. Now let's go over things on the back end of the Highlander itself. Obviously you got the regular stuff, Toyota logo, Highlander logo, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the taillights, they definitely have shrunk the taillights on the Highlander compared to the last generation. So they're just kind of a lot sleeker looking in terms of the design on them. But yeah, here's just kind of like your 3/4 angle on it. Coming to the rear of the Highlander, we're gonna look at the door panel first and foremost. Got the little shade here that you can pull up just for the rear passengers. They got the gray interior on this one, so there's nice padding here on the side of the door. And then this one's got the captain chairs, so it'll be a little bit easier to access the back. And then also, obviously, you can separate the two kids that are sitting in this little area. But the design on the chair is pretty interesting. These little rivets here, definitely a nice little touch. And then we do have controls here for the climate for the rear, a couple charging stations down there. And then in terms of the very back, I'm not gonna squish myself back there because I mean, I could fit, but it'd be a pretty tight fit. In terms of the headroom back there, it doesn't look like it's too bad. It's just the legroom, so you're gonna wanna reserve that third row for kids. But we will at least pop into the second row here. So sitting here in the second row, I mean, it's really comfortable. I've got plenty of legroom, and then I'm about 5'11", and I've got plenty of headroom, and it looks like the headroom continues all the way to the back, like I said, so headroom in the rear should not be an issue at all. Up front here, we've got keyless entry, so one touch to lock it, and then when you want to unlock it, you just have to put your hand on the back of the door handle, and then it'll unlock it as well. Now, opening it up, here's the door panel for the front. Looks pretty much identical to the one in the rear, just this control area is gonna be a little bit different. I actually like the door handle, and also I forgot to mention, door handle on the outside, it's kind of just cool how it picks up. Obviously the lock doesn't go with it. It's always interesting. And also we got blind spot monitoring. Anyways, opening up the door fully, here is the seat in the front in all of its glory. It has that same kind of like rivet design in the center. Adjustments on the seat are going to be on the side. They are power. There is the pedal layout just down there. That's for the gas cap release. You've got your hood release. That is for the rear hatch, and then obviously your lights. And then we also have the steering wheel, which is going to be manually adjustable. And here's one more look at the front cabin before we pop inside. Now to start it up, we just have to put our foot on the brake, push the push start, and everything will come to life. That little graphic there is very interesting. This is the steering wheel in the Highlander. Now, in terms of all the controls on the steering wheel, we'll get into those in a second. I just want to go over the design first. So black trim right there is pretty nice. I like the contrasted stitching. The leather all around it, very smooth to the touch. Now in terms of controls, we have our cruise control on this side. You got like your lane departure assistance, collision assistance, and that's for the radio. This is also for the radio, but then also your voice commands. Bluetooth controls, and that's for the center stack. This is your light stock, also your turn signal stock, and then that is the windshield wiper stock, just like in every other Toyota pretty much. Here is the gauge cluster. We've got RPMs on the left side. On the right side, you've got the speed, and then like I said, there's a bunch of different menus that you can scroll through on this. Basically just give you different bits of information on the Highlander. It looks a little bit different than what's on other Toyotas, but I would say, I mean, it's just as easy to use, just the screen looks a little bit more modern. Here is the center infotainment system. Now if we pop the Highlander into reverse, our backup camera is going to pop up. Has a little trajectory line there in the center to show where you're going. Other than that, feature-wise, it's kind of similar to Toyota's other upgraded infotainment system. So you've got buttons on the side of the infotainment system. When you press the buttons, they respond relatively quickly, and then actually pressing the touchscreen, again, response time is pretty good. I mean, it's not like the quickest, but I would say that it's more than adequate. Just make sure that you like fully press the button, because if you half press it, nothing really happens. But I mean, that's any touchscreen. Other than that, I mean, it's a solid system. Here are the climate controls. It is a dual zone climate up front. Like I said, there is a climate for the rear. Do get heated seats. I'm gonna have my on because I think it's only about 20 degrees outside. It is pretty chilly. Actually, we know exactly what it is. 23 degrees. Ugh. Anyways, this is kind of like a little storage area, and I think this is where you're supposed to hold your phone, because there's this little plastic tab here that you could push out, and then you have little charging stations down here that you could like thread a cord up through, so you could just have your phone sitting there. That's my best guess on that. Other than that, here's the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. You can shift the gears yourself, a little manual mode. There are no paddles on the steering wheel, just the little bump stick mode. Couple cup holders. We're gonna get into all this stuff in just a moment. And here is the center console. It actually feels pretty cool that you just like slide that little thing forward. It's different because like I keep expecting that I'm gonna pull this whole thing up, but no, it's just sliding that forward, and the actuation on it's pretty neat. Looks like we do get wireless charging, which is a nice little feature in the center console. Now finally, there is a little bit more storage up here, and then opening up the glove box, there's even more storage, and there's nice like leather trim all around. Now let's get into the drive modes quickly and all the rest of the buttons here. That's your little parking brake right there, your auto hold. Now, we've got some functions down here. We've got your auto stop start, your hill descent control. That is the snow mode, basically to turn that on or off. And then you have your stability control just over here. And I've got the rest of the drive modes, which we're actually gonna go over to the center screen so I can show those to you. But they'll pop up here in the middle of the screen. So we've got the sport mode, for example, normal, and then eco. It doesn't look like anything really changes except for that bottom part of the screen when you go into it. And then you've got like the mud and sand, for example, and you see that'll pop up on the side. You got the normal again, and then you got like the rock and dirt, which shows you a little bit of a graphic, but yeah, pretty normal setup, I would say. Now up top, we've got one of those little sunglass mirror holders, and it looks like it catches just right there, or you can pick it up and have it go like all the way down for the sunglass function. Yeah, a little bit interesting on that. Anyways, sunroof on top of that, and it is a leather colored headliner, which matches the rest of the interior. Now that we've wrapped things up with the interior on the XLE, let's go over pricing. But before we get into that, I just want to mention that I'm really impressed because, again, this is an XLE. This isn't the top of the line, and this interior is very well put together. But anyways, this particular Highlander XLE stickers for about $44,000 before any type of market adjustment, which, I mean, for being a third row SUV, for being a middle of the line trim package, it's pretty much right in line with any other third row SUV on the market right now. That all being said, let's take this Highlander out and see how it drives. Before we set off here in the 2020 Highlander, let's quickly talk about visibility. Visibility over the hood is actually really solid. It just kind of slopes down immediately. There's visibility through the mirror, can't talk, but does have blind spot monitoring. There's your other mirror. And then here's all throughout the rear, which just like all the other Highlanders in the past, they use a bunch of very large windows, so it's easy to see all throughout the Highlander. And we are going to set off here, and again, crossing our fingers that we have no GoPro casualties. The one that I'm actually wearing on my head was the casualty yesterday that just completely exploded once it hit the ground, and I somehow figured out how to make it work again. But anyways, initially setting off here, it's very comfortable. I had to like maneuver it through the parking lot a little bit to get to that space, and I mean, definitely drove smaller than it is. Actually setting off in the Highlander, we're going to talk about road noise and ride quality first. In terms of the noise that comes into the cabin, you hear a little bit of tire noise, but it's pretty minimal. In terms of the ride quality, it's really smooth. I mean, it's what I expected. In terms of other SUVs in this segment, this is definitely going to be on the higher end, so it's going to be smoother compared to most of its competitors. Noise wise, it's going to be about the same. So yeah, if you're wanting something that's really smooth, then definitely go for the Highlander. Taking a few turns here, well, not really turns, kind of more big sweepers basically. The steering is actually pretty direct. There's a little bit of play, very little though. For the most part, it's pretty direct. When I put any little input, it kind of just goes right where I put it, but it's not darty by any means, where it just kind of goes boom, boom, boom from place to place, which I understand can get kind of annoying. We're gonna get our little acceleration here. That 8-speed automatic's actually pretty quick. And the lane departure assistance keeps beeping at me because I guess I'm being a bad driver today. Anyways, yeah, acceleration on it's good. It's quick. I mean, I feel like the gear shifts are very quick for this 8-speed automatic, so Toyota's been doing a good job with that, or whoever they source it from. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a really good package, and I actually just drove the Kia Sorento yesterday, and these are super similar. They both have a ton of safety tech. Both have smaller well, not really smaller, but both have V6s, and they're both third-row SUVs, and yeah, it would be a tough choice. Toyota has definitely upped their game with this new Highlander, and I guess that leads me to summing things up. This segment right now is extremely competitive, just third-row SUVs, between that kind of like mid-30s to low 50s. There's just so many cars in that particular segment, and this 2020 Highlander is definitely one that you have to check out because it's got a ton of safety tech. It's really comfortable to drive, has adequate power, and yeah, I mean, it's just a very complete package. That is going to sum things up for our video on the 2020 Toyota Highlander. And as always, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and then again, a huge shout out and thank you to Brent Brown Toyota for providing us with the Highlander. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.